are listening to the Soul Ascension Show with angel healing founder Calista. Welcome into our sacred space where you can truly be your radiant self. It's time to get inspired, to get creative, to be who you came here to be. Rise and shine. All is here for you.
Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to another Soul Ascension show with me, your host, Calista. Another 2 weeks has passed, and here we are again, and I'm finding myself really looking forward to these shows. I can feel it's very cozy, even though it's me sitting in my studio. I feel you all listening, whether it's live or in retrospect. I feel your presence. And it fills me with such joy because each time we come together, all of us, we move so much energy and we're continually shifting and evolving and coming more into our soul, coming more into our potential and into our gifts, which is the theme for tonight's call. All about awakening and developing your gifts, your natural talents, and how to best express them to best serve your world and to best serve you. And I'm really feeling like it's going to be a practical show with lots of ways to strengthen your natural divine gifts. And really it depends on the callers that come in and the questions that come in as to where the show will go. I've got something in my mind, a little skeleton of what I'd like to share tonight, but I'm always open to calls. So if you'd like to call in, you can do so now and just be on mute and listen in, or call in about midway through when I normally open up for your questions, and it's best to use Skype. You'll find the number on Blog Talk or the Facebook page. So awakening your gifts, what does that mean? I was speaking to my partner Greg about this today. He's very much on his path of awakening to his spirituality. He's always been spiritual in a way, but he's really coming into what ascension means. He's starting to understand that he is a co-creator in his life. He can manifest, and he's coming into the knowingness of all the natural laws. And so I asked him, what does awakening your gifts, what does that mean to you? And he said that it's about, for him anyway, it's about knowing himself and learning to trust himself, learning to listen to himself in ways that probably he wasn't aware of before, and developing that knowingness and that intuition. And I really loved that answer because sometimes when we talk about this subject, or when others talk about this subject, we can go off into all the supernatural gifts of telepathy, telekinesis, levitation, astral traveling, which are all wonderful, don't get me wrong, and we will get to them at some point during the shows to come, but sometimes if we're not careful, that can lead to living in a fantasy world, and it can take us away from truly what's here always. What's here always is ourself, is our true self, our intuition, our connection to the divine. If we focus more on that and developing that as the foundation, then we can launch into all these different areas. And I've taught psychic spiritual development for many years. When I had a holistic center, I would teach classes every week. I had a shop during the day, and then it would open up as a holistic center at night time, and it was wonderful just to close the shop and everybody would come together in the back room, and we'd open up a circle and we just dive into different topics, different facets of the divine self. And everybody would come from different cultures, different backgrounds. I'd have big trucker men there, and or pensioners there, or sometimes there was teenagers there. Everybody from different walks of life came together, all as equals, all there to learn about who they truly are at their core and how to develop their natural intuition. And it really was the best couple of years in my life was doing those courses. I absolutely loved it. And what I've been able to learn from doing those circles is that really we have to learn to listen to ourselves first. We have to learn a practice, whatever it might be for you, meditation, dance, art, going out in nature, whatever is your flow, to connect to your higher self. So we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. We'll talk about what the intuitive senses are, how to develop them. We'll go on a soul immersion journey to discover what your main intuitive sense is, so then you can use that as a focus to develop in this lifetime. And I'll be sharing a couple of different tools as well that have really served my own path of ascension to really come into that space of trusting who I am and expressing my gifts. So I named a couple of spiritual gifts such as traveling interdimensionally, astral traveling, communication with your guides, your animals, plants, telepathy. One of the gifts I really wanted to develop before I really knew about tuning in and tapping into my spirit first was telekinesis, the ability to move things with your mind. And I tried to move things with my mind, doing lots of different exercises that I found in books or the internet. But I came to realize that it's all academic at the end of the day. If I can't control a thought or a feeling from my mind, if I can't control how it comes in and how it comes out, if I can't master my mind, how will I ever master moving an object? And it's the same thing if you look at all these gifts. Telepathy, if you can't hear your own inner guidance, how can you hear another? Working with your guides and angels, if you don't trust yourself, your own nature, how can you truly connect to them? So for me, it all comes down to trust. Trust is the key to awakening and developing yourself. And then from that space, your gifts truly will just naturally flow and follow. And I wanted to share a little story about trust. And it comes from one of the 6-week courses that I did, one of the 6-week psychic development courses. And it's a story of a young woman who came in. I feel it's probably right not to mention her name, but she might be listening, so hello if you are. She came into the course. She had recently lost her husband. She came in with that perception of loss. We know that it's just transition into another phase, but she very much was in her grief. He'd only passed, her husband had only passed a few weeks previous, and she was brought into the development circle by her husband's sister, who was very aware and thought that this would be a place for her to let go of her grief and perhaps just to understand that he wasn't lost, that he was very much there always. So in the first week she was quite timid, quite shy, and of course, you know, we could all feel the heaviness that she was carrying in her heart. And we came to share, you know, everybody got to know each other. We always come in as strangers, but we leave as friends. And, you know, it's a beautiful, intimate space that's created when you share yourself, your true self. As I'm sure many of you know, if you sit in circle or you go to workshops and you have this intimate time of sharing. And I think it was week 2 of the course when I guided everybody into a journey, into a meditation space where they would meet their main spirit guide, what I call a gatekeeper guide or protector guide, someone who's there, who acts as an ambassador between physical and non-physical reality. And truly, in essence, this guide is an aspect of your higher self, but when you're just starting your path, you do see this guide as separate. Anyway, we were doing the journey, and this beautiful woman, when she went into the meditation, she was met by her late husband, and you could just see the tears were coming down her face. And we spoke afterwards, and she shared that he came forward and he's acting as her main guide right now, and he came forward wearing armor, and she described the armor in great detail, what he was wearing, how she felt. And as she trusted the experience more, as she let him connect his energy more with her, she could hear him. And he did share with her that his role now is to help children who have just passed to acclimate to being back into non-physical. And she understood why he had picked this role, because he was a beautiful father and very much there for his children always. But in the journey, she was perplexed because she couldn't see his face. She couldn't see his face. She could see everything else. What he was wearing, this beautiful armor, reflecting to her that he was her protector guide, and he was very much still her knight in shining armor. But she was perplexed, like, why can't I see his face, Calista? And it just came down to, there was just a deeper level of trust that she needed to get to, which she did reach through the course. But as the next week came, we decided to do some psychic art and work with our main guides. And everybody paired up. And she paired up with a young guy who hadn't been there that week that we connected with our spirit guides. So he hadn't heard the story. He hadn't heard her sharing about her husband or how he presented, what he was wearing and such like. So they partnered to do psychic art, and she went into meditation, and he was there. He had his paper and his crayons or whatever we were using, I can't remember, but and he was asked to draw her guide, or anything else that came forward specifically for her. What was the best guidance for her to receive at that time? And he started to draw. Now she was in meditation. She had her eyes closed, so she couldn't see what he was drawing, but I could, and some of the others could. That were drawing, they peeked over and they could see, and we were all amazed at how he started to draw the form of her husband. And not only that, he started to draw the armor, and then he started to put in all the detail, the minute detail that she had shared. And it was such a beautiful experience. We were just looking at amazement, feeling such love, such energy as he came forward and he came through him to channel this beautiful piece of art. But what was more amazing is he didn't draw the face. It was from the neck all the way down, and he drew this armor. Anyway, she came out of meditation and everybody was showing the other partner the drawing, and she saw the drawing and she immediately burst into tears, and really we all did, and I think we all needed that confirmation, not just her. And it was such a lesson of trust. It was such a lesson of trust for everyone in that room. And I think we will always remember that and always be touched by that. And from there, all of them just accelerated on their path because they had this confirmation, they had this trust. So I'm sure you've had experiences of that, or maybe you've heard experiences or read stories like that, and there's so many that I could share that I've had the privilege to witness over the years. But what I've seen is that if somebody has an experience like that personally, if they can live and breathe through it, then that is the first step in awakening their gifts, because they believe it. They believe and they trust in themselves. So I want to just continue on from that by talking a little bit about how do we first... So those stories are great, but how do we actually open up? How do we actually open up our intuition? And really, it's just like another muscle in our body that we have to exercise and build. And for many years, it's probably been dormant. It's probably been sleeping, even for lifetimes. But if you're living and breathing right now, especially if you're hearing this show, you're definitely on your path of ascension, your path of awareness and intuition. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the main intuitive senses one by one, and you may already have an awareness of what these 4 main senses are, but I'd like just to talk about them a little bit and ways that you can develop them. So just be open, to whatever you hear and feel when I'm sharing about each of them. And it might feel like one of them, you say to yourself, yes, that's definitely me. That's definitely how my intuition works. You might be blessed by the feeling and the knowingness of all 4 of these main senses, or it might just be one that you use, one that comes into play when you meditate, or when you're out in nature, or you dance, or you're tuning into spirit. So these 4 senses go above the physical senses. They are non-physical, and they relate to our perceptions of sight, hearing, sensing, and knowing. And these are clairvoyance, which means clear seeing, clairaudience, clear hearing, clairsentience, clear sensing, and claircognizance, clear knowing. And if we look at clairvoyance first, this corresponds to the energy, our third eye, also our physical eyes, but mainly our inner eye, which is the point between your eyebrows and a couple of inches up. It's right in the middle of the brow point. It connects to your pineal gland, a higher gland of awareness and connection to source. And when you first work with the third eye chakra, when you first develop it, you can feel a tingling sensation, and that was a question that came in for the show. Somebody was talking about, when I feel this when I feel a tingling sensation in my third eye, what does that mean? And often it means you are just awakening that intuitive muscle, your clairvoyance. It's starting to deepen and strengthen even more. And you might find that often you'll see a purple or an indigo when you close your eyes, when you open up and you get into that meditation space, or you might see a big eye looking back at you. If the eye has its eyelashes and eyelids closed, then just intend that it be open. We were talking about unicorns last week in the show, and unicorns have a horn of light that comes out of their mid-brow point. And this horn of light signifies their enlightenment, their higher perception. And for those doing the unicorn course, which I teach, everyone is gifted this etheric horn, which comes out off the third eye, and it acts as an antennae to spirit and to the energy that's all around. And you can imagine that if you can imagine that you have this beautiful horn of light coming out of your third eye, connecting you to the divine in the most purest, blissful way. And that will really open up the third eye. So if you have clairvoyance, normally you might have the ability to see energy fields, light fields, electromagnetic fields around people, crystals, plants, objects. You might be able to see non-physical beings like angels or devas. You might receive premonitions. You might really be able to recall your dreams, recall all the vision. And often people think that developing clairvoyance is difficult, but truly it's just a matter of practice. Some people, it's not in their soul's path to have clairvoyance, and it seems to be the one that everybody wants to have. But what tends to stop a person or block a person where they are in that moment to achieving clairvoyance is the fact that they have subconscious fears. Either a fear of the unknown, a fear of the dark, a fear of their own innate power. And they can struggle to embody the intuitive vision until they are ready to face their fears. And for years I was like this. You know, as a child I was really open, really aware. I remember seeing spirit in my grand's house and being chased up the corridor about the age of 7 by a man who haunted her house, by a discarnated soul who was there. And it scared me. It scared the 7-year-old in me so much so that I shut down my clairvoyance. I just didn't want to know. And I hear that story so many times from other people. They see things when they're younger and they'll say, no, I just wasn't ready. And they'll put this barrier, they'll put this bind on their third eye. And really it just takes time to peel away those layers again and come back into your intuitive vision. And what gets you there is affirming that there's truly nothing to fear. It's only the unknown, and the unknown is the subconscious. It's the soul in truth. It's what you've not experienced before. You know, we all come into this life for expansion, for the contrast, for living and experience something that we've never experienced before, not in past lives, not ever. And often we can fear that. There's a part of us built up through egoic conditionings and patterns and the fears of our parents and our siblings. We can build up these barriers, but when we start to come into this path of ascension, we can peel away at those layers and realize that there's truly nothing to fear. You may find that you are clairvoyant if you feel that you're a visual person. Are you somebody that really enjoys colour, that really gets a kick from form and detail? Do you love to watch films? When you problem solve, do you write down the question and visualize the answer? Can you visualize images and scenes from listening to people, or through music, or through reading books? Do you see faces and forms in things that maybe sometimes other people would pass without noticing, such as faces appearing in tree trunks or persons in a painting? Do you have vivid or precognitive dreams which you can clearly visualize when you wake? If so, then your main sense is probably clairvoyance. And if you would like to strengthen that clairvoyance, what I would say to you is a great exercise is to just visualize an inanimate object, anything. Sometimes I say to my students to visualize an orange, and as strange as this might sound, just holding that orange and feeling its texture and form, smelling its peel, considering its colour, just really taking in the form and the texture and the smell and the beingness, the matter of that orange in your hands. And then closing your eyes and in your mind's eye replicating the orange. So just imprinting the image that you saw physically into the third eye. And once you start to master that, if you do this right now, if you just look around your room, just look to a couple of things in your vantage right now around your room. Then close your eyes and imprint them in your third eye. Can you see them? Perhaps maybe just an awareness of where they are in relation to where you're sitting. Maybe you see the form or the outline, or you just sense them there. So try that one in your own time. If we look to the next intuitive sense, let's talk about clairaudience. This is probably the one that I use the most. Clairaudience relates to your physical ears, but also your inner ear, your inner hearing through your ear chakras. These are non-physical sub-chakras that are situated just above your physical ears, and they resonate with a magenta color. So if you're tuning in with your clairaudience, often you can see a magenta color. And clairaudience normally presents as an inner voice that offers support and guidance. The voice you hear will invariably sound like your own voice, but sometimes it can be different, especially if clairaudience is your main psychic sense. And then on rare occasions, you can actually hear clairaudience, a physical voice out with your inner ears. And I've had that a couple of times. And it's a very funny sensation. I've had elementals, but literally when I'm all alone, elemental nature beings coming into a certain space, especially if that space is on a ley line or it's a point of power, I will hear them literally going, hello, in their strange little voices sometimes. Or they'll talk to me, or sometimes I've heard angels out with my inner ears, and it's the most beautiful experience. Developing this skill, what I would say is use crystals because they have a natural vibration. To some people who have a clear audience, you can actually hear crystals sing. They give out a vibration. Each of them has their own tones, their own frequencies, that if you are trusting off and you're open off, you can hear them. So I would say put the crystals to your non-dominant ear, normally the left, and just listen. Just listen. Clear quartz crystal, probably the best one to begin with. If you feel you don't have clairaudience as one of your natural senses, it can be easily developed just by trusting yourself. The more we notice and follow through with our intuitive guidance, the more we can develop and ascend our psychic perceptions. You will know if your clairaudience is beginning to develop when you start to experience ringing sounds, vibrations or buzzing sensations within or around your ears. This literally is your audience tuning in to the frequency of the many physical, non-physical messages that are always around you, just as you can tune in and adjust the radio to find that perfect station. That's what you're doing. In my experience, some souls can question if their clairaudience guidance, the guidance that's coming through, is that their own? Is that coming from their ego, or is that coming from another being? But this, again, is just part of our conditioning. And just as easy as a belief is picked up, you can put it down. But as a rule of thumb, if you ask your inner being, your higher self, or an angel, or whoever you're working with, either internally or aloud, the first voice that you hear is them speaking to you. The second is invariably your ego discrediting the first voice that you heard, which is frustrating. I really understand it, that's frustrating. But if you're mindful of this and you practice this, you will let go of any doubts and fears that you might have picked up. And remember, the ego is not something that we need to run from or deny. It's just like a child. It's just a protective, shy part of ourselves that sometimes can feel unsafe. So it puts these things in place for our own protection. But again, we don't need that. We can let that go. So just give your ego love. Welcome your ego with compassion as you're developing your different senses. So you might feel that you're clairaudient if you enjoy talking to people and can tune in to what they're saying, not just from their voice. You can tune in to their frequency, that sound frequency that they're emitting, because we also, like crystals, have a frequency. And in the times of Atlantis, which we'll do a show on, our vibration literally sang. We had melodies coming from us. We had light coming from our being as well. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to interact with each other, and often we didn't even use words. We just tuned into each other in that way. You'll know if you're clairaudient if you're drawn to sound in all things, if you can hear pitches and vibrations that others don't. You might be clairaudient if you consider communication, especially speech and music, the most important of things. You might be clairaudient if, when you read, you whisper or you hear the written words in your head, or you talk to yourself often. You talk to spirit often. Does that sound like you? Do you feel that you're clairaudient? A good exercise to develop this intuitive sense is literally just to go out in nature. And right now, we're in the energy of spring over here in the UK and Scotland, and there is so many birds. There is so many birds. I've got this beautiful little blackbird that comes out 7 o'clock every night with his evening song, and it's so beautiful. If you just go outside in nature and you just listen, you listen to their songs, the different pitches, the different vibrations, their melodies. You listen to the other sounds, maybe the wind, the ruffling, people speaking. Here in suburbia, the sound of suburbia seems to be lawnmowers. So that's the sound that I hear quite a lot. But just whatever is the most natural sound around you, just listening. So what's around you in the immediate surroundings, and then tune into the sounds that are in the distance, and then see how far your ability to hear can go. Like, how far can you stretch it? Can you select a singular sound and amplify it amid the mixture of other sounds? So that's a really good exercise. Plus, it's so relaxing to do, and it really gets you more in tune with yourself and Mother Nature at the same time. The third main intuitive sense is clairsentience. Now, clairsentience, the majority of the population is clairsentient. Normally it's either our dominant clairsense or it's our secondary one. And it's where we can sense how we're feeling, and we can sense how other people are feeling before they even share verbally. And this center of clairsentience comes from our heart, a higher heart near our thymus gland. Sometimes in people it can come first off anyway, before they've developed it, from their solar plexus as well. And when you start working with this colour, it's a yellow, and sometimes it can be yellow, orange and pink as well. It can develop. When you've developed your clairsentience, you may take on board other people's emotions, and sometimes, depending on how they feel, have a sense of feeling drained or elated after being in their company. In this way, it's best for clairsentience to always ground on a daily basis, and to come back into their center, so they're not picking up too much emotion and energy from other people. Connect to the physicality of Earth to release any unwanted attachments, and to breathe yourself back into your heart. And honestly, the amount of emails and messages I get about people who identify themselves as empaths, which really we all are in truth, saying that they've picked up an energy or an entity, or they feel drained by this, that and the other, and what can they do? And honestly, just ground yourself every day. Take off your shoes, take off your socks, and touch the earth every day. Walk the earth every day. Not only does this heighten your electromagnetic field, your aura, it opens your heart chakra, but not just the heart chakra, the sacred space of your heart and your thymus, your higher heart. It really tunes you into your spirit, where you become really sensitive over and above empathy, where you truly come into yourself. And here you're at such a strong, assured point of being that you just simply do not take on people's stories, and you drop this identification of being an empath. There's so many of these blogs that talk about I'm an empath, and this is who I am, and it puts you in a box and says you're an empath if you're this, that, and the other. And honestly, these things are so disempowering. Know that we're all that. We all have those senses, but we also have choices in each moment to take on these identifications, to bring us out of our power, or choose to stay grounded and centered in our grace, in the love of which we are. Getting onto my soapbox again about empathy. Okay, getting back to clairsentience. You'll know if you're clairsentient if you enjoy healing or caring practices, especially if you love working with your hands. You enjoy the sense of touch and texture. You can sense changes in the temperature and subtle energies and emotions from things that maybe other people can't. When you're reading, perhaps you use your finger to keep the place. You're naturally a tactile person. You enjoy expressing yourself through touch. You'd rather hug a friend who's in distress rather than using words to console them. You may be naturally clairsentient if you feel how a person feels before they tell you. And you enjoy things that elicit an emotional response, like literature or art or music, and often draw from these experiences to help other people. You know, a really good exercise to increase your clairsentience is to work with crystals, and just to feel crystals, just to feel their vibration. A lot of people don't do this, and again, I do a lot of crystal courses with people, and they always say to me, Calista, you teach crystal therapy in a way that I've never seen other people doing it. You really connect, and you open up a space for us to connect with their heart, to really listen to who that crystal is, to get to know that it's energy, it's consciousness, rather than just look up a book and know its properties, because crystals are here so much more than just their properties and what they can share. They have their own path of ascension too. So if you have any crystals in your home, just spending time to get to know them, not asking anything off them, not doing any exercises with them other than just tuning in and feeling them and getting to know them. And the fourth intuitive sense, before we go to a break, that I want to talk about is claircognizance. Now, claircognizance is probably one of the hardest ones to master, because this is the psychic center that corresponds to thought information that comes through from your higher chakras, your crown, your higher chakras, into your awareness. And claircognizance relates to knowing something without being told, where you can't explain why you know it, you just do. And if you've developed your claircognizance, it's easy to bring forth information, and you can feel that you do this either through a stream of information that's downloaded to your subconscious or conscious mind, just like a computer receives its data, or sometimes you can receive just a singular thought or a singular message that comes through. Claircognizance goes beyond logic. It's the knowingness. It's not intellect. It's not knowingness through intellect or book learning. It's knowingness through intuition and being one with your spirit and one with all that is. And you'll know if you're clairsentient if You have a thirst for learning and you adapt easy to change. You're a writer and you work in creative industry. When you lose things, you quickly remember where they are. Likewise, if you feel lost, your intuition guides you to your destination. Information comes to you in a sudden flash of inspiration or creativity. You're drawn to things and people that stimulate your intellect, and you can problem solve really easily, and you enjoy games of chance because you often win. You often know what's going to happen next. And a great way to develop your claircognizance is through meditation, is through just sitting down, meditating and asking yourself, once you have breathed and grounded and centered yourself, what's highest and best for me to know right now? What's highest and best for me to know right now? And just, you might want to channel the answer, write it down. You might want to use art. You might just want to listen and open up your mind to what you're receiving through your claircognizance, through your knowing. But time is marching on, and this is a topic I could go on forever. So what I'm going to do, I really want to do a journey with you, and I want to share some other ways that you can develop your gifts. So we're going to pause just for a little bit. We're going to go to a break. I only have one short break for you, and then I'll be back. Okay.
For powerful, on-purpose meditations, visit vibedeck.com/Calista. Active energy journeys to empower prosperity, joy, wellness, and love to flow freely in your life. For online courses and personal sessions, visit facebook.com/Calista Ascension. Be who you came here to be. Arise and shine.
Welcome back. You're listening to Calista on the Soul Ascension show, and today's topic is all about awakening and developing your spiritual intuitive gifts. And I'm just in the chat room right now. Oh my Lord, I think this is the most popular show yet. There is so many questions, and you know what? I'm just putting it out there that what we're going to share next and the journey that we're going to go on is going to bring you those answers, but I will try my best to get to as many of your questions as I can in the space that we have left. But for now, beautiful souls, let's go on a journey. This is just a short one, a short soul immersion, and it's for you to know or sense with crystal clear clarity what your main intuitive sense is, so you can focus on that in this lifetime. And that's been a question that came from Elizabeth in New Zealand. She was asking, in what area of my spiritual gift is more profound? So I have a focus on strengthening it in this lifetime. And other people have said similar questions. So let's go on a journey and we will answer that for you. Okay. So if it's safe to do so, if you're not driving, I invite you now to close your eyes and just breathe. Breathing into your stomach first, then the chest, and then letting go. Breathing in fully, and breathing out, letting go. And if you can, placing your feet on the floor, legs uncrossed, connecting to the earth. Palms face up, hands resting on your lap. Just breathing slowly breathing deeply, letting everything we've been sharing just drop away. Anything from your day, any events, any people, letting them drop away. Coming into this moment, breathing into your heart, and breathing out as your heart opens, your energy opens. And we call forward to be with you, your guides and your angels, all the beings that work with you, all the facets of your soul, to come forward into this space to be with you, to enhance this journey, and to ensure that everything that comes to and through you is only of the highest and best divine light and love, and so it is. So now you can let go. You're safe. You're supported. Breathing in and breathing out. Imagining now you're at the top of a spiral staircase. And at the bottom of this staircase is your happiest memory. The happiest moment in time that you loved, that you enjoyed in this lifetime. And as you begin to walk down the stairs now, hand on the rail, spiraling down the stairs, down and down, and down and down, thinking about this memory, letting the energy, the bliss, the joy it brought you begin to come into your awareness. Down and down, 5 more steps, 5, 4, 3, relaxing deeper, 2, and 1. Opening a door now and entering into your happiest memory, seeing it, feeling it, being here right now. And what is your happiest time? Letting the awareness of where you are just come to you with ease. And what do you love about being here? What do you see? What can you hear? How do you feel? Breathing into the happiness this brings you. Smiling. Open. Receptive. Enjoying replaying this memory. And imagine you had a box in your hand. And you're breathing now into this box all the bliss, all the joy, all the freedom from this time. And you're putting it in the box. Doing that now. Gathering it up, all that good feeling, gathering up, closing the box, and beginning to come out of that space, box in your hand as you start to walk up the stairs, walking up and up the spiral staircase. Feeling into those memories, maybe some you've never felt of, you've never remembered for years, all that bliss coming back. Breathing it in as you walk up the stairs, up and up. Last 5, 5, 4, step in 3, feeling so good, step in 2, bliss and joy, just keeping that with you, placing it in your heart. Breathing in and breathing out, letting go. Opening your eyes, coming back into the here and now. And just enjoying that time. And that's such a good exercise to do anytime, really, just to bring back that bliss. But also, when you were looking, when you're feeling into that memory, what sense came most into play? Did you replay the memory through images? Or did the sound create the memory? Or was it your feelings that were most evocative? Or just the knowingness of being back there? What was your main clear sense? We'd love to know if you just type that into your chat room. What was your main clear sense? Now that is, I see some of you doing it. Wonderful. I see that's a really good exercise to do. If you focus on that main clear sense, and the show is recorded so you can listen back to the podcast, and I gave you some exercises for all those different clear senses, so you can use that, and that can be what I like to call your sadhana, which means spiritual daily practice. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a sadhana, because spiritual daily practice, it is the best way to commune with your soul and to come into your divinity and with it express your gifts, all what your gifts are. Oh, sorry, just a little breaking connection there. To express your gifts. And the best time to do your sadhana is in the morning time. Yes, around about 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. I know some of you are thinking, 4 o'clock in the morning. But truly, any time between 4 and 7, for as little as 20 minutes a day, is absolutely wonderful for laying the foundation of coming into your soul, your awareness, your gifts. Before 7 o'clock in the morning, I find that your ego has not woken up yet. So you're much more aware. It's the true self that's guiding. You're out with the law of cause and effect. It's just it's a higher energy. And when you start off doing a sadhana practice, it can feel challenging. As part of the Unicorn course, I asked the students to do 30 days consecutive practice, getting up every day for 30 days and journaling what they've done. And some people find that really challenging, because if the ego is engaged, it can put anything in the way of not doing the practice. It really is discipline, and it takes discipline to get up every day and give to yourself. And often we have to get through all these barriers of self-love and yada yada, giving to ourselves. But if we just practice, if we just commit to living in the moment and getting up and being in the moment of every day, it slowly becomes a habit, just like brushing our teeth or showering or eating breakfast, which might have felt like a chore when we were young, when we started to do it. But look how natural that is to us now. And your sadhana, your spiritual practice, whether it's meditation or dancing or art or reading heart, soul expanding books, can easily become a habit, and soon you'll feel that you're in flow with your intuitive self. And with each sadhana, more and more of the subconscious mind clears from its negative or limiting programming until you're really living the life that you want, that you wish for, that is the highest vision that you can see for yourself, and you're co-creating miracles every day with such grace and ease. Part of my practice now is more of a yogic sadhana, but since I started this conscious path, I've found that I'll do something every day. It might not be before 7 o'clock, but when I do get up before 7 and it is a consistent practice, wow, I feel incredible. And I'm much more in tune with myself and with others. The natural gifts I have of clairaudience are really strong and really clear. So how to best prepare for your sadhana? I would say find a place in your house, or it might be in your garden, that you feel is sacred, that you can meet God, meet the divine within and all around every day. Get your body prepared, have a shower. The wearing of white clothes I love, and I love to cover my aura and cover my head when I'm meditating as well, which I feel raises awareness, raises our kundalini. It balances our higher glands, our pineal gland, our pituitary gland, that really comes into play when we meditate. And it just helps me to show up and to connect more. And when you choose the exercises, the meditations, whatever the flow is for your sadhana each day, you might want to work with the energy of the planets. For example, on a Monday, the energy is often associated with the moon, so you might choose to focus on the emotional body with calming breathing exercises. Tuesday, the energy is in Mars, so you might want to focus on what's energizing. So on a Tuesday, you might want to really get into your body to clear what feels dense, like with some yoga or going for a walk. Wednesday, the energy is in Mercury, so this is a good time to communicate. So maybe you want to do some channeled writing or work with your guides or your angels, and so on. If you're interested in knowing more about that, just look me up on facebook.com/Soul Ascension, and I'll share more about how astrology affects the energy, what the planets are every day. Because I'm looking now and we only have a couple of minutes left. What else can I say on this subject? Use your intuition every day. Listen to your heart. Do 20 minutes of meditation every day. Get out into the sun. Get out into the energy of the earth. Walk the earth barefoot every day. Know that you're one with spirit. Know that you're one with the divine. And soon you'll see, if this is your practice every day, wow, you will swiftly come into your awareness and the consciousness of all your gifts. You'll be able to drop the identifications that you might have with disease, or a lot of your putting in questions about negative energy and entities. They'll swiftly leave you because they're just aspects of the subconscious. So these will go with a daily sadhana practice. But I think what we'll do is next show we will continue on from this subject, because we're about to run out of time. So I just want to say lots of love. Thank you for listening, and come on connect on facebook.com/Calista Ascension. It would be great to hear from you. And if you would like to like the show or rate the show on iTunes, that would be amazing. This is a non-profit show, paid from my own pocket. And that's one great energy exchange that would be amazing if you could just help promote. But for now, loving blessings, be the change, trust yourself, and all will flow.